Good morning, everybody. This is John Scarborough. We're out here with the bulls right now. We're getting close to putting them on. We have done something we've never done before this year. We've actually gotten, we're going to put our bulls on, it's going to be close to June. Now, normally, I always put my bulls on around January, somewhere in there. Sometimes the beginning of January, sometimes the end of January, depending on what I'm trying to do. But this year we're putting them on in June, and the reason is just because we've started to spread our calves out a little bit more than I like. So I decided to hold them off for a little bit. Now that's always tough to do, but that is what we did. Here's our other bull over here. We have this nice white bull, and we have this bull right here. This bull right here, this one we've actually raised ourselves, and he has turned into a pretty good bull. Okay. Pretty good looking bull. He's a little bit smaller framed than this one right here. But that doesn't bother me. What's interesting is we just had our first calving off of him. And we had our first calving off of both of them. Both this one and then this one right here. We actually had calving off of 3 different bulls. And what's interesting is this one, the reason we bought him is because he gives some really good, strong, stout-looking calves, really big calves. And they all look good, and I think they're all going to finish well. But what's interesting is this one right here, this is the bull we raised, like I said. This one gives some really good, gives small calves. So he's really good for putting on heifers, things like that. But what's interesting is that his calves have caught up with this white bull's calves. So this white bull's calves started out pretty good, okay? But this black bull right here, his calves have all caught up to where they look almost as good, even though the white bull's calves were born first and they were born bigger. So that's pretty interesting to see. I'm gonna be curious to see how it's going to work out and how good they're gonna grow off. And I'm really excited to see how it's going to work. And there's a couple reasons why I'm excited. First of all, I really like the genetics of this bull. I know his daddy came from a really good jam-up Hereford bull. That bull, so he's half Hereford, and then he's half Brangus, okay? And that Brangus is something I've kind of wanted to experiment with myself. Now, I wasn't sure how he was going to do on grass and how his babies were going to do on grass. But so far, he's performing very well. And what I like about him over this white one, okay, even though the white one's doing his calves are doing good and they look good, is that this one right here doesn't do as well on just pure grass. Now, that's all I'm giving him. But you can tell, you see he's got poop on his butt. So he's probably a little bit wormy or something. So he's a little more high maintenance. All right. And he's finally starting to put his flesh back on. But he just, for a while there, he really didn't hold up as well. Especially in the wintertime, he didn't hold up as well. So overall, I really like this bull. The way he has turned out, because he held his flesh on. He held it on good all throughout. And now he's just really turning into something good. And you can tell he just never seems to get wormy. Doesn't ever seem to have any trouble. You know, he just does very well. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this bull. This is a good bull right here. But he's just a little bit, he's just not quite, even right now, you can tell, if you really look, this one right here is just a little bit more filled out. And he's doing it all on his own. Okay. These 2 bulls have been off our cows for 7 months. Now that's longer than I've ever held bulls off of cows. Okay, both of these have had nothing but time to recover. They've had all the mineral they need. They got all the grass they need. They got everything they need. They've got no reason not to be doing well. Okay, so I really have to give it to this bull. He is holding his flesh better. He's doing better. It's just everything about him is doing better. Now I will point this out. This one, being black-hided, has more flies on it than the white-hided one. Now the white-hided one has got flies, But that is something to remember, that lighter hides do seem to attract flies less. They also handle the heat less. Okay, so that's a good thing. That's one thing I like about this bull, is we raised him off ourselves, so the economic benefit is great there. All right, but because his daddy was red, I was really hoping that his calves would end up red, because a lot of people don't realize this, but the black and red hide, I believe, if I'm saying this right, I'm pretty sure that black and red is only one, I think it's one chromosome away from each other. So in other words, if you've got a black-hided cow, it's not impossible. A black-hided bull, it's not impossible for him to put off red instead. Well, that's all his calves are nice, bright red. They're pretty red. So I'm kind of thinking about saving heifers off of them. Not sure yet. We're going to see how everything raises off. But definitely really happy with him so far. Happy with the genetics too, because it's kind of the reason we went with, the reason we were thinking about going with something with some Brahman influence is just to kind of get that brisket, get a little bit more brisket into our steers. So we're going to see how that works out. Like I said, I'm not disappointed with this bull. I like this bull. I think he's doing well. He's doing pretty good considering. And I can't argue with his calves. His calves are awesome. You know, definitely can't argue with that. And he doesn't look bad. See, when he turns on this side, you can see a lot more flies on this side. But he doesn't look bad. He just isn't holding himself up quite as well as that black one on grass, because that's the thing about us, is our animals have to hold themselves up on grass. Now, as far as their nature goes, both of these bulls are very well mannered, very good natures. All right, and that's a pretty good quality for me in all of my animals, but especially in my bulls. I do not want I don't want mean bulls. I don't want bad-mannered bulls. And a lot of people say, well, that's just part of being a bull. You know, they're a bull. And it's like, well, no, a bull might be a little snorty. They might push on each other and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean they have to have bad manners, okay? If you learn a little bit more about testosterone and understand testosterone, you start to understand that that snorty trait, that being mean to you trait, doesn't necessarily mean quality testosterone. That doesn't mean that they don't have good testosterone, but the ones that are mild-mannered and docile, that does not tell you that they have low testosterone. I have seen very good bulls that are very docile, and actually I've seen a lot of bulls that seem to be better bulls overall. We just got rid of a bull that was not docile. He was not a great bull, okay? The one thing I did like about him is he gave me twins. But he wasn't mannered very well. His manners were really bad. We worked with him and we were fine with him. We got a good price for him and everything, but he just wasn't great as far as all that goes. And we didn't know this at first because we had several bulls on him. But we had several bulls on our cows. Once we got rid of the other cows that were giving us black calves, we realized that he was the only one that was given black, okay? Because we had one bull given white, this one right here was given red, and then he was given, the other bull we're talking about was given black calves. And we suddenly realized that bull that had the terrible manners was given about one calf for every 3 calves that this one and the white one would give. So both of these would give 3 calves, and that other one with the bad manners would give us about 1 calf, okay? And the calves didn't look as good. So even though he looked good, they didn't look as good. Now we missed that. We weren't aware of that because we had other bulls on with him for a while there. So we thought he was doing good. Okay. What my point is he was the snortiest bull. He was the meanest bull. He was very manly looking, very tough looking, and all like that. But as far as what he actually gave us, as far as what he was actually, how he was performing, wasn't very well at all. Very poor, you know. So just keep that in mind. Just because they're snorty, just because they're tough acting and they act like that they're tough and they act like that they're big and mean, does not necessarily mean that they're doing the job the best. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything about them is great. Okay, but I think I'm gonna like this bull right here, guys. He, like I said, he's a little bit smaller framed, but I mean, look at him. He's slick-hided. He doesn't have an overwhelming amount of flies on him, considering he's got no fly spray. We haven't sprayed him with flies at all. We haven't done anything for him. And actually, normally I have garlic on them. I haven't even got garlic on him yet. So he's doing extremely well. He's performing very well with nothing. He doesn't need anything. And his calves look good. Okay. Now, like I said, we're going to have to raise his calves off a little bit more before we know for sure. Just to see how they do. But so far, man, I'm so happy to see it. So, very happy about this bull, guys. I'm going to sign off. Y'all don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And if y'all have any suggestions for other videos or any other things you'd like to see, let me know.